Let's talk about Russell Wilson and the Steelers and why I believe he would have immediate success with the Steelers. Now, I'm not saying that Russell Wilson is going to go out there and be a top 5 to top 10 quarterback with this team, but I do believe that he has been put into the best situations possible with the Steelers. And we're just a couple of days away from the NFL draft. So after the NFL draft, I will give an update on this video. But one thing that I look at right now with the Steelers, you have a brand new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith and a brand new quarterback in Russell Wilson. So the chemistry may be off early on for this upcoming season. But when I look at Russell Wilson, this is a guy that's coming off a solid season with the Denver Broncos, 26 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And he was being coached up by one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL in Sean Payton. Regardless of how you feel about Sean Payton and how he did Russell Wilson, he coached his butt off to get Russell Wilson into the best situation as possible. And 26 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions, those are not horrible numbers for any quarterback. The reason why Sean Payton and Russell Wilson were not able to get along very well is for this simple reason. Russell Wilson holds on to the football for too long, and he goes out there and he makes stupid plays here and there. Russell Wilson was number 1 in the NFL with holding on to the football for too long, and right behind him was Justin Fields. And you may ask yourself, why did that piss off certain coaches? Because you open yourself up to stupid plays. Let's go back and look at what happened against the New York Jets. Late in that game, Russell Wilson is just running around with the football in his hand. He fumbles the football, and it basically ices the game out for the Denver Broncos. They lose against the New York Jets. But when I take a deeper look at Russell Wilson, he could come over with the Steelers. If he just finds a way to get rid of the football quicker, he will be a better quarterback because of it. Arthur Smith is an offensive coordinator in the past that did a tremendous job with Ryan Tannehill because they ran the football effectively. They ran the football on first and second down, and it opened up Ryan Tannehill to play action. They did that with Derrick Henry. You have a similar running back that has a similar style in Najee Harris. Najee Harris has had over 1,000 yards rushing in every single season in his career. He's a very good running back for the Steelers. He can carry the offense for a majority of the game. And especially with you working in Jaylen Warren as well, they have found a very good recipe from over the last couple of years with adding in Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren averaged 5.3 yards a carry, 784 rushing yards on the season, 4 rushing touchdowns, and he can also catch the football at the backfield. You can split carries with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Now, your offensive line is going to have to go out there and get a major push up front, and Russell Wilson is going to have to be good enough so teams cannot stack the box like how they did against Kenny Pickett and how they did against Mr. Trubisky. The offense looked completely different when Mason Rudolph stepped on the field. You hope that Russell Wilson can come and bring the same energy that he brought to this team. One thing about Russell Wilson is that he was very good in the red zone as well. And that's one thing that has killed the Steelers over the last couple of years. The red zone quarterback play has not been good, either from Kenny Pickett and also from Mr. Trubisky as well. His red zone completion percentage was 62.3%. That was the 6th best in the NFL. And you look at his completion percentage against pressure, it was 63.6%. That was 3rd best in the NFL. And his true completion percentage was 9th in the NFL with 73.5%. So I do believe that Russell Wilson can still go out there and play football at a high level. He's just not going to be that franchise quarterback for you like how he was with the Seattle Seahawks. And Russell Wilson gets too much hate. The thing is when he got traded from the Seattle Seahawks, the Denver Broncos were expecting for him to come in and to be this clear-cut savior, come in, shoulder majority of the load, and just carry this team over the finish line. He wasn't able to do that because that Russell Wilson doesn't work out in the NFL. We've seen that. Russell Wilson a couple of years ago in 2020 was phenomenal. The man had 40 passing touchdowns to just 13 interceptions. That is phenomenal. And that is the most interceptions that he has ever thrown in a single season in his career. Besides that, the most that he has thrown is 11. So we all know that he's going to take care of the football. But the best version of Russell Wilson is when he's able to go out there, work off of play action, and work off of that run game and be an elite game manager. You don't want him going out there throwing the football 35 to 40 times in a game. You don't want him to go out there and be in a complete shootout with quarterbacks like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But you have the defense that can go out there and stop the opposing teams with the defense that the Steelers have. It's all about just putting Russell Wilson in the best situations possible and getting those guys open deep down the sideline. Because we all know this as well with Russell Wilson. He's never been a quarterback in his career to target the middle of the field, deep down the field. It's just not going to happen, especially in this stage of his career. Quarterbacks usually don't change as they get older. So I'm not expecting for him to go out there and get rid of the football quicker. I'm not expecting for him to go out there and just throw the football deep down the middle of the field to George Pickens all over again, because that's not the quarterback that he is. But Russell Wilson is a quarterback that is solid off play action as well. His play action completion percentage was 50.4%. And that was with the Denver Broncos team in the middle of the season that ran the football very well. And majority of his numbers came from that. And like I mentioned before, the Steelers team can run the football. One thing that does worry me about the Steelers is the consistency with Arthur Smith, because Arthur Smith was a terrible offensive play caller for the Atlanta Falcons. And a lot of that is because he was the head coach. He was worried about the defense, the offense, and he never really had the right quarterback. But at the same time, he was choosing the quarterbacks. He chose Marcus Mariota, and he also chose Desmond Ridder as well. But the Falcons offense did look solid that last season that Matt Ryan played with the team. So you hope that Russell Wilson can go out there and just be better than what Matt Ryan was his last year in the NFL. And I believe that Russell Wilson is. I think that Arthur Smith can get the most out of Russell Wilson as long as they run the football and they continue to feed weapons like George Pickens. And George Pickens is a true number one wide receiver. I will say this. They have to select a wide receiver in the NFL draft. I'm not saying in the first round, go out there and select the wide receiver. I expect them to go out there and target the center position. Hopefully they get a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, who is a tremendous interior offensive lineman, because they need offensive line help. They cut Mason Cole. He is no longer with this team. They can always bring him back. But it's the reason why they cut him from this team. He was one of the worst starting centers in the NFL. You have James Daniels, who you got in free agency a couple of years ago. He's a solid guard with this team. Broderick Jones is a very good tackle with this team, especially when he's playing his true position that he played in Georgia. I did not like when they flipped him around the offensive line. Just keep him at the same spot. I understand that Dan Moore Jr. at times is a liability with this team, but I think that he can hold his own enough with this team to just keep Broderick Jones at his true position. And you also have Isaac at the left guard position as well. So the offensive line is solid on paper. It took some time to get things going, but when week 7 hit, you saw the offensive line play better. They would have had better rushing numbers if the quarterback play was better. And we saw the running backs have better numbers when Mason Rudolph stepped on the field. But when you look at these wide receivers, George Pickens is phenomenal. I think that George Pickens has potential to be one of the best wide receivers in the game. 63 receptions, 1,140 receiving yards on the season, 5 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 18 yards a catch. He is similar to DK Metcalf in the ability to just go out there and just get big plays and be a freak athlete with this team. They're going to miss Deontay Johnson. That's why I mentioned a couple seconds ago, they have to go out there and select another wide receiver with this team, because Van Jefferson is not a true number 2 wide receiver. If you go back and look at him with the Los Angeles Rams, it's the reason why they moved off him and they traded him to the Atlanta Falcons. Van Jefferson is the same guy that Sean McVay tried to develop. He was able to develop Tutu Atwell. When you look at Van Jefferson, he was not able to go out there and fully develop. So the Rams had to go out there and sign Odell Beckham Jr. to fill in that void. He's a wide receiver at times that you would say, hey, he's getting open deep down the field, but he can't do it consistently enough, especially against the press. And it's a reason why he only had 20 receptions on the season for 209 receiving yards. And he's dealt with injuries in the past as well. I like Calvin Austin III, only 17 receptions on the season for 180 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, but he can fly. But he has the same problems that Van Jefferson has as well. When cornerbacks get hands on him, they're not going to get deep down the field. So you can look into a situation to a team would just probably just ice out George Pickens right now on paper, and you're not going to be in a very good situation because no one else can go out there and just beat the press over and over again. And that's going to put extra strain on Russell Wilson, because one thing that we all know about Russell Wilson, if he cannot go out there and find a wide receiver open immediately, he's going to start to run around. And then you're at Russell Wilson's mercy. Either he's going to make the right play or he's going to make the wrong play. And you don't want that happening. So you have to go out there and find another wide receiver that can fit George Pickens and help him out as well. But I will say this, the Steelers have done a great job over the last couple of years. Matter of fact, over the last couple of decades, just finding good wide receivers, whether it's early or late in the NFL draft. I'm not worried about that. And you have Pat Freiermuth as well, who's a very good tight end with this team. This is a guy that's a slept on tight end because he hasn't done much the last 2 years because of terrible quarterback play. But you look at him, his rookie season with Big Ben, he was very good. This is a guy that can be a very good productive tight end if they get him the football and they get him involved. One thing about Arthur Smith, he likes to get the tight ends involved. Look at what Jonnu Smith was able to do with the Tennessee Titans and with the Atlanta Falcons. And he's a similar tight end to a Pat Freiermuth. You also have Darnell Washington as well. I'm not high on Darnell Washington. I think that he can be a very good blocker with this team long term. As far as being a receiving tight end, I just don't see it happening at this level. But he is a freak. He's 6'7", 264 pounds. The only reason I do not believe him being a true good receiving threat at the tight end position is because of knee injuries. That's it. But he can be a phenomenal blocker with this team. And the defense speaks for itself. This is a very good defense, one of the better defenses in the AFC, and they were carrying this team for majority of the season. Now, when TJ Watt goes down, they're not the same defense, but what team is going to look the same when their best player goes down? TJ Watt, 19 sacks on the season, best defensive player in the NFL, one of the best players in general in the NFL. You have Keanu Benton, who could be a solid defensive tackle with his team long term. Cameron Hayward is still a solid defensive lineman with this team. You bring in Patrick Queen, who I think is a solid linebacker. He's not going to go out there and be one of the best linebackers in the NFL, but he fills in a major need with this team because last season, those inside linebackers could not stay healthy at all. You have him and Cole Holcomb. You hope that Cole Holcomb can stay healthy. But over the last couple of years, he's always dealt with injuries and he has missed time. So expect him to go out there and target some linebackers in the NFL draft as well. And Orlando Roberts came in and he looked very solid with his time. So if you just bring in another linebacker in the 4th or 5th round, I'll be okay with that with the Steelers because Patrick Queen has been very durable over the last couple of years. I just really hope that him and Cole Holcomb can mesh very well together because that could be a very good linebacking duo with this team long term. Alex Highsmith is a phenomenal pass rusher with this team. 7 sacks on the season, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and he had his highest pressures this season, even though the sack numbers were down because they flipped him more into coverage than they let him put his hand in the dirt. And the secondary, I worry about their secondary every single year. Joey Porter Jr. has potential to be a number 1 cornerback in the NFL. Minkah Fitzpatrick dealt with some injuries this season, but we all know when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best free safeties in the game. And you have Dante Jackson as well at that cornerback position that's playing opposite side of Joey Porter Jr. I said this last week. I'm going to say it again with Dante Jackson. You have to find another cornerback in the NFL draft because this is a guy that has struggled to stay healthy over the last couple of years. Very good press man corner. The only thing with him, he will give us some big plays here and there and can't stay fully healthy. But if he can give you a good 10 to 12 games in the season, I think that'll be a win for the Steelers. But I do believe that Russell Wilson will find success with this Steelers organization. Because you look at what he has been through over the last couple of years. He's only had one horrible season in his career. And that came with the Denver Broncos in his first year. They had Nathaniel Hackett. For one, Nathaniel Hackett was supposed to go out there and help bring in Aaron Rodgers. That did not happen. So when that plan blew up, they went out there and they acquired Russell Wilson. That system was not meant for Russell Wilson. It was meant for Aaron Rodgers. And those wide receivers, at certain points in times, they cannot get open. Now, Courtland Sutton is a true number 1 wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy had a lot of major drops, and he had a lot of times where he was not able to get open as well. Russell Wilson did play bad, but the team around him was not good. And he was tied with being one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL with guess who? Justin Fields. And you also have the Justin Fields element to this as well. I do believe that it will be a quarterback competition in the offseason. Right now, the Steelers are saying that Russell Wilson has earned the spot. We will see about that as the new season approaches. I expect for it to be a quarterback competition. And when you look at Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, you can say that they're pretty much the same quarterback. The only thing is this: Justin Fields is more explosive in the run game. But I expect for Russell Wilson to go out there and to be the starter. Within the first couple of weeks of the season, if he does not look good, you can insert Justin Fields and then hope for the best. But I do not believe it will come to that point. I think that Russell Wilson will find success with this team, and this will be the final stop for him in the NFL, whether he is very successful or not. And at the end of the day, Omar Khan got this guy for a steal. He got him for a 1-year deal. And essentially, the Denver Broncos are paying off that contract for the next 2 years. But I really do hope that Russell Wilson can turn his career around and he can find success with the Steelers. But let me know in the comment section below, do you guys believe that Russell Wilson can find success with the Steelers long term, or do you believe that Justin Fields will come in and defeat Russell Wilson for that spot? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.